I'm Belinda Sandor. Welcome to Lessons from the Cockpit. Let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome. Welcome to Lessons from the Cockpit. I'm thrilled you're here. I'm Belinda Sandor. I'm the founder of the VA Connection, where I coach and mentor established and aspiring virtual assistants to create, grow, and scale their businesses. And I work with my students in my free online classroom, over on Facebook, the VA Connection, in my courses and my coaching programs. So today I'm going to be your host of Lessons from the Cockpit. This is my live weekly show that airs every Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. So I hope you put it on your calendar. Now we're streaming all over the place. We are on X, we are on Facebook, and we are on YouTube. If you're watching from YouTube, please subscribe to the channel and ring the bell so that you'll be notified every time we go live. We have at least 2 free trainings every single week, and often we have many, many more. So I invite you to follow along. So I'd love to hear where you're coming in from. So let me know. And today we're going to talk about how virtual assistants are the solution to our client's problem. And it's going to be a little bit of we're going to talk a lot about mindset, right? A lot about mindset. So, all right. So we've got, all right, Kim is here from Pennsylvania, and Redemptor is here, and George is here from Charlotte, North Carolina, and Heather is here from Chattanooga. I don't know I guess you have to really think about how to spell Chattanooga. That is some kind of word. I love it. All right, and Frederica is here from Amsterdam. Okay, so before we dive in, I want to talk a little bit about my story, my journey to become a virtual assistant. And, you know, a lot of times people think that starting a business is something that happens quickly and instantly and all the things, and it's really not. And so I want to share with you a little bit about my journey and how I became successful as a virtual assistant, so that you kind of take a little bit of the pressure off. You know, I think we put so much pressure on ourselves to get our businesses up really quickly, and it really is a journey. So let's dive into that a little bit. So this is me and my daughter Emily, who is now 23 years old, and this was her both of us in 2010. And I was just starting my VA business, and it wasn't the most ideal time. You know, I wasn't ready. I was more probably panicked would be a better word. I had a business for about 8 or 9 years that had failed, and I was selling personalized baby products online. And while it was successful in many ways financially, it was not. And because I was trying to hold on to it for longer than I should have, I had 6 figures of debt. I hadn't paid the mortgage for over a year. You know, I was really struggling. And on top of that, my personal life was unraveling as I was getting a divorce and selling my home and all the things. So it was a very intense time. And I knew that I had to make it work, or I had to get a job. There was no, stack of money plan B kind of thing happening. So, and on top of it, I was turning 50, and I put a lot of significance on 50, which looking back now at 63, I'm like, what was that all about? You know? And it's funny, we were talking at dinner the other night and about, you know, the things that we do at different stages in our lives. You know, I've at 20, at 30, at 40, you know, thinking that it's too late for something, or it's, you know, or something has passed. And, you know, I look now at my 20s and I thought I was so shut down. You know, I was so afraid of getting it wrong. I was so afraid of, you know, I thought, and I see this in our kids, they're so afraid. And I was so afraid of getting it wrong that I didn't do anything. You know, because I thought everything was forever, and it's just not. And I've learned that over the years that, you know, at 20, 30, 40, 63, it's not forever. You know, like, for example, we're living in this house now, and which I'm going to show you a picture of in a minute. And the thought is that this is our last home. But the truth is that, it's the home that we've chosen now, but what if we live to be 97 and we can't take care of it anymore, right? Maybe we'll move to a condo, who knows? But the thing is that, when you just start to trust that you can handle whatever life throws at you, or whatever, you manifest or it brings you, would probably be a better way to look at it. Things get a lot easier. So that was part of my mindset shift when I was 50, was to realize, a lot of stuff has happened and I can handle it. And so at the core, it was starting to believe in myself. And we're going to talk more about that today, and all about, how you are the solution to other people's problem, because we overlook that. We really overlook that. So here I am, I'm kind of in a mess, and knowing that a job's not going to cut it, I want the time flexibility so that I can be with Emily. And so, you know a lot of my story, but at the core of it was really looking at the fact that I was going to be okay. And given that I was going to be okay, what was I going to do? I wanted to be a successful virtual assistant, which is different from dabbling. I was thinking about that yesterday. When we dabble and we don't put ourselves 100% into it, we stay in limbo. Limbo is the worst place possible as far as I'm concerned. I would rather either be completely failing or succeeding, but limbo, that unknowing place, that's like purgatory. That's torture. So don't stay there. If you want to do this, I really urge you not to dabble. Dabbling is painful. It's really painful. So you all know a lot of my story. I told everyone I knew about my business. We're going to talk about that in a second. And here on the other side of it, someone told me the way to be successful, and I believed them, was to tell everyone that I knew about my business. And so I leaned in, I got a coach, I found a mentor, and I did what it took and started asking the question, how am I going to make this work? How am I going to make this work? Versus, is this going to work? You see how the energy is really different? So I leaned in and I made huge mindset changes that took really growing a brand new brain muscle to think about things in a different way. And by doing that, I was able to build a 6-figure business. I have over 20,000 billable hours under my belt and have worked with over 225 clients. And the thing is that I want to mention that, a discovery call is when we talk to potential clients to see if they're a good fit for us. I guarantee you, I had more than 600 of those. So it's not like everybody I ran into was like, oh, let's, or even there were 600 people who thought they might want to work with me, and 400 of them weren't a good fit. So you have to know that it's all about keeping going, keeping in momentum, and thinking about it that way versus, oh, that was a horrible discovery call. I don't think I'm cut out for this. It's like, all right, well, that didn't work. What am I going to do now? Right? What am I going to do now? Okay. So, the other thing is when, I've heard this so many times, and I just heard it the other day again, being an entrepreneur is the biggest personal development journey on the planet, because it's not possible to grow a business and to be successful and to be on autopilot. So entrepreneurs live life on purpose. And if you're not living your life on purpose, if you're on autopilot, I want you to know you're kind of missing the whole point of all of this, right? And I say this because, so this is a picture of my family. So at 50, I'm getting divorced. I'm thinking it's over, all the things. How can I turn this around? This is a huge problem, all, that I have going on. And the other thing is I had enrolled my friends and family into believing that was true, and what's funny is, I'm trying to think how to even tell you this part of the story. Beliefs continue. Let's put it that way. My especially with our nuclear family, like our parents and our brothers and sisters, maybe our best friends, the beliefs continue, and they have us held in this little box, almost like we're held hostage, right? And part of being a successful entrepreneur is you have to break out of that. You have to say, you might think that, but this is not the truth anymore, and make these changes in your life, despite the fact that they're holding on, and it's really tricky to do that, but it's definitely worth it. And so this is my family now. These are my 4 stepsons with Emily. This is our wedding, Greg, my husband, in 2021. And we flipped it all on its ear. We flipped it all on its ear, and I found myself again. I had been so deluded, not deluded. Yeah, deluded. Deluded is the right word. I was thinking delusional. I was probably that too. Deluded meaning watered down, my watered down version of myself, that I didn't know what kind of clothes I liked. I didn't know how I wanted my hair. I mean, this sounds ridiculous, but if you keep twisting yourself around all the time based on what other people think you should be doing, in the end, you're lost. You're lost. You're like a piece of paper blown in the wind. And that's where I was when I was turning 50. Now the phrase, yeah, I'm not doing that, is one I say often, and not in a against somebody way, but in a for me way. Yeah, I don't want to do that. Yeah, no, I don't think so. But checking in and having that voice be strong inside me of what's right for me, it's very powerful. And the result is I'm able to help so many more people in all different kinds of ways, because I'm true to myself. It's so funny because we think, well, if that person needs this and this person needs that, and I give them all these things that they need, then I'll be helping them. And that's actually not true. That's actually not true. And you're much more empowered and helpful when you're in a good spot. When you're in a good spot. And it took all the powers in my reach to make this house come true. So I'm sitting right behind, let's see if I can't point because of how this is set up, but behind that screen door, I am sitting right behind that porch right now talking to you. And talk about suspending disbelief. This dream of owning a home with Greg, it was a 13-year journey, cleaning up my credit, figuring out how much money I needed every month, paying down bills, paying them off, just getting a car. I didn't have a car back then. I don't really talk about that, but all of these things, and you really want to lean into it and get deliberate. And again, it's that whole concept of, many people have said to me about the house, wow, that happened fast. I'm like, really? I don't think it happened fast. We had to pay off student loans. Greg had to sell a house with his former wife. Like I said, my credit, that takes 7 years to clean up, 7 years of being, a straight line, all of these things that had to happen. So yes, getting the house was 13 years and 2 months, right? 13 years and 2 months. So you want to look at your business like that as well. It's going to be a journey. It's going to be a journey. You're going to get your feet under you as you go. So let's jump in more into what we're talking about. Okay. So when virtual assistants are just starting out, they believe that getting clients is their primary objective, right? And you're absolutely right, because clients are who pays you, right? They're the people that bring in the revenue. They allow you to reach your financial goals. And so it makes sense to focus on this. But what happens is virtual assistants go about this in a way that, I don't know where this comes from. It probably stems from corporate, and I'm sure it's like conventional wisdom, things you'd read in a business book from the 50s or even the 70s, before the internet, before things changed so much. And so what virtual assistants do, and I think that they get advice from well-meaning friends and family who have not run a successful business online. So what I want you to know, number one, is please stop asking people who don't have what you want how to get it. They don't know. They don't know, right? So and that works with all aspects of my life. At one point I had a relationship coach who helped me figure out what I wanted in a marriage and in a relationship. She had what she wanted. I didn't go to someone who was single or recently divorced and ask them, how do I have the marriage of my dreams, right? It's the same with the VA business. Don't go to your brother-in-law, Nick, and ask him, how much should I charge? He doesn't know. My brothers are the last people I ask. They've had a job for, 45 years. They have no idea, right? They have no idea. So definitely go to someone who has what you want. Now, one of the things that new VAs do, because they want to get started as quickly as possible, is they worry about their pitch. They worry about their portfolio, right? They do endless Google searches about choosing an ideal client, cold calling techniques, right? In fact, check out this is Tuesday. Check out yesterday's newsletter. It's on the blog, but not on the homepage yet. It's all about how you do not need a portfolio to get started and what to do instead. So if you missed yesterday's newsletter, definitely check that out. So they also wonder if they should look for jobs on Upwork, on Facebook, all of the things, and they spend time on their social media strategy. I've also heard VAs ask the question, should I make a flyer? Would it be a good idea to visit all of the businesses in town and tell them about my work? How about, should I get a booth at a trade show and hand out business cards? All of these ideas are things that might work if you're selling a product instead of a service, but I don't recommend any of them. In fact, I'll go as far as to say you're wasting your time if you're doing them. So if any of these thoughts come into your mind, I want you to say, okay, Belinda has a successful virtual assistant business. She knows how to generate $100,000 a year. And even though that might not be your goal, it might be $2,000, $3,000. It all applies. So what did she do? And I guarantee you, I didn't do any of those things. All right. Any of those things. And what's happening is you're treating getting clients like hunting, right? It's like you're stalking your prey. And I've also heard virtual assistants talk about they've seen mistakes being made in a business and they want to point them out. The other thing is they believe that educating people on why they need a virtual assistant is a good idea. Again, waste of time, a waste of time. Just think about how this would work in a different industry, right? So this would be embarrassing. Let's say you're at a party and there's a dentist and he starts talking to you about how you should whiten your teeth, right? A lot of different things could happen there, right? You could be excited, you could be insulted, you could be, why are we talking about this? I'm having a cocktail, what's going on here? So you don't want to educate people. The place to educate people is your newsletter. That's where you can educate people on what you do, right? That's how you can educate people on what you do. So the main mindset shift that has to happen here, because when you do all of the things I was just mentioning, it's exhausting and it's inefficient, right? It always leads to disappointment. Like, this isn't working. And I'll tell you what, you're right. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. So you're on track, right? It doesn't work. So what happens is when you do these things, you wonder if it's possible to make any money at all, right? Any money at all. And that's because you're ignoring this. You are the solution to someone's problem. You're the solution to someone's problem. You are their lifeline, okay? And I want you to know there's plenty of work for virtual assistants and plenty of people are looking for a VA. However, if they don't know about you because you're hiding, that's the problem, right? You think you have nothing to offer. You're hesitant to spread the word about your business, and staying the best kept secret, or telling yourself you don't know the right people. How many of you have done that? I don't know the right people. I don't know the right people. I can't tell. If I had a nickel for every time I heard that, I would be rich. So the other thing I've heard people say is, you know what? I'm introverted. This isn't going to work. That's right. Or I'm just not comfortable talking about myself, and what happens is, and I mentioned this earlier, when we have that mindset, I don't know the right people, or I'm not good at this, not only are we continuing to convince ourselves that by saying it, the business just limps along. And there's nothing worse than that. There's nothing worse than that. You're making $700 a month. You want to make $2,000. It's not enough, but it's enough that you don't want to quit, but but you're not really leaning into it. And so you just keep kind of making $700 and you're in your part-time job and you hate your boss, but it's just kind of working. That's autopilot. Right? And so you have to decide, do you want to live your life on purpose, or do you want to limp along in autopilot? And I've been in both places. And living a life on purpose, meaning being deliberate, it can be exhausting, but it's also exhilarating. And limping along an autopilot has never been exhilarating for me, and it's always worth it. It's always worth it. So imagine, okay, so here's an example, and this will make you laugh, but imagine that you had a cure for cancer, right? You had a cure for cancer, and you didn't tell anyone about it because you're worried about what they might think. Does she really have a cure for cancer? Does this work? And that's ridiculous, right? If you had a cure for cancer, you would, and the problem was you didn't have the courage to speak up. Think about how many people you could save if you just speak up. And it's the same thing about your work. When you tell people about your business, I want you to remember, when they hire you, they're not doing you a favor. They're not doing you a favor. You have the heart of service, right? You want to help. Think about how many businesses you could help and be involved with if you would tell people about your work, right? And it's not out of reach. It's not out of reach to make $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 every single month. I see students who lean into this doing it all the time. In fact, I have a one-on-one coaching session with one of them today. She's going to make $100,000 this year. That's $8,000 a month. So, and she is being deliberate. She is being deliberate. And, so you really want to think about, you want to think about it and shift your mindset. Now think about this for a second. If you met someone, and there's other things about you that you're not afraid to say, right? You're not afraid to say, probably, I'm a Girl Scout leader, right? Or I'm a Little League mom, or, I coach the football team at the high school, or I play tennis, right? And so I want you to think about it that way. There's no ulterior motive. And if there is an ulterior motive, that's the problem, right? Because that's what's tripping you up. I'm a virtual assistant is no different from I'm a terrible tennis player, right? It's just a statement of fact. And so we assign all of this meaning to it. And I know I did the same thing, but I have to tell you, when you shift your focus to being the solution, I no longer, and I haven't for years, walked into a networking group, like an in-person one, and think, oh, wow, I'm just here kind of like holding on by a thread and I don't have anything to offer. This is kind of strange that I'm even here. People are going to think I want them to hire me and, blah, blah, blah. What you're going to find instead is when you walk into the room, knowing you're the solution to someone's problem, because pretty much in any networking situation, unless they are a VA, somebody in that room needs you. And so by telling them and walking in as the solution, it feels so much better. It feels so much better. So believing this is really important. And once you start to have enough work, you're going to see this and it's going to open everything up for you, because you realize, oh yeah, I decide who I work with and I want to work with that. This person needs a VA and I like them. And so let's work together. And they're so grateful. They're so grateful. Okay. So really, I want you to think about that. Think about this concept that you're the solution. No one's doing you a favor. It's actually the other way around, and that there is plenty of work for everyone. So if you can say that when you're doubting, and really think about, I'm going to introduce one more concept that I heard last week. So when you're struggling, I'm just thinking for a second. When you're struggling, I want you to say the sentence and I want you to fill in the blank. I have it on a Post-it right here. I'm the kind of person who, fill in the blank. I'm the kind of person who helps entrepreneurs. I'm the kind of person who tells everyone about my business. I'm the kind of person who practices talking about my business so that I can be successful. Right? So think about, I'm the kind of person who, which it to me, when I say that, it like catapults me into where I want to be. Right? I'm the kind of person who. So it looks like we've had more people join us. We've got Debbie from Texas and Margaret from San Diego. Nicole is here from upstate New York, and Heather is here saying bullseye, bullseye, bullseye. So thank you. And Yvonne says our stories are so similar, where I was just letting everyone else determine my life. Yeah, you don't have to do that. It's the most selfless thing you can do. And it's also an example for others, my daughter, and I don't believe that divorce doesn't hurt the kids. It definitely does. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. Their lives get fractured in a lot of ways. In some ways they get healthier, absolutely, but it's a different life. And so I didn't go into getting divorced like, oh, it should be fine at all. And so, but we do have to be an example for our kids, for our nieces and nephews, for people, in general. We don't have to. It's rewarding to be an example and to help people get to the next place that they want to go to. And I want to thank you for listening to me and trusting me. I don't take it lightly. I don't take it lightly. It's I love doing it. So thank you. All right. All right, everybody. So think about, I'm the kind of person who, and what are you going to do today? What are you going to do today to take those next steps in your business toward the success that you want? And one thing I would suggest is setting a goal for the next 90 days. What do you want to accomplish in the next 90 days? Get a plan and jump on it. We're on day 2 of the 3rd quarter of the year, and lean into it. All right. I'll see you all later. Thank you for coming to Lessons from the Cockpit. I'm Belinda Sandor, signing off. Bye for now.